Hello and welcome to Sunday Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma, and of course, our job, as I've always stated, is to track what's happening in the polity. But I can't help to ask, how has your weekend been? It's a brand new week we're about to set into, and loads of political happenings we are tracking, and we'll be following up. I'll bring you on the show right here. But first and foremost, we've been seeing things happening in the polity this weekend, from all the way from Friday to Saturday, and some things are still developing as we speak in the polity. One of the things we saw was a visit by the former vice president and presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, visiting former President Muhammadu Buhari in Daura, part of the Salah visit. Of course, we also saw another contender in the race, but he was a presidential aspirant. Former governor of Sokoto State, Mr. Tambuwal as well. Former governor of Kaduna State, embattled, if you will, given what has been playing out recently. Has also visited former President Muhammadu Buhari. I'm talking about Nasser El-Rufai. So there's been some major visit by, the political bigwigs in the north to former President Muhammadu Buhari. We will get to know why all of this. But of course, we understand it's part of the Salah visit to pay homage to the former president. But that's not all. There were also issues. We saw, if you follow what was going on in the polity, we also understand that a particular company had come up with an allegation that data is being sold by the NIMC. NIMC is Nigeria Identity Management Company. A particular company is getting data from NIMC and is being sold to people for about 100 naira, and that generated a lot in the polity. Now, those allegations, without trying to dig deep into all of it, because we're still looking at all the details, but NIMC has actually responded to those allegations because it borders on data protection and data security and even national security. Now, following those allegations of exposure of sensitive data of Nigerian citizens, the National Identity Management Company, NIMC, has assured the public that the data of Nigerians has not been compromised. Now, this is what NIMC gave as assurance in a statement by its head of corporate communications, Ms. Akayode Adegoke. The commission says that it has not authorized any website or entity to sell or misuse the national identity number, NIN, amongst all the identities. So that is the position of NIMC. They have not authorized anybody to, on their behalf, sell or any of our NIN to anyone. According to NIMC, the said websites are data harvesters, not authorized by NIMC to access or manage sensitive data. NIMC urged the public to disregard any of those claims or services these websites offer and should give their data, and should not give their data, as they are potential fraudulent people, and data provided by the public on such websites are gathered and stored to build the data services they illegally provide. So NIMC has dissociated itself from whatever company is saying is selling data on their behalf. But maybe at some point we'll get to have a conversation with the authorities and the commission to know exactly what this is at the end of the day. But let's also tell you that one of the things we're going to be doing today on the show, in fact, a major part of the conversation on the show today, is a legislation in the House of Representatives where corporate social responsibility, which appears to be like goodwill of corporate, will now be mandatory or compulsory. I'm trying to look for all the words to make it not optional anymore for you to do CSR. There's a legislation in the works in the House of Representatives. We're going to explore all of that today on the show. What is this legislation all about? How will it benefit you and I? What will be the reaction of corporate companies? How will it affect the polity? We will explore with the chairman of that committee today on the program. But before that, also, let's tell you that the former local government chairman, whose tenure expired on June the 17th in Rivers State, have accused the Rivers State chapter of the NLC and the TUC and the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NLGA, of bias in the crisis involving councils in the state. Speaking at a press briefing in Port Harcourt, the former mayor of Port Harcourt, Allwell Ihunda, claimed members of NOGE were legally appointed into the caretaker committees as set up by the governor in what he considers a flagrant disregard of the civil service laws requiring them to resign their positions. In his reaction, however, former chairman of Emoha local government area, Mr. Chidi Lloyd, called on the national leadership of the organized labor to weigh in so as to forestall chaos because there was a planned protest. Let's take a listen to them.
What we observed from the list of caretaker committee members, we observed that across the 23 LGAs, that appointments were made from NOLGE members as part of the caretaker, whereas these NOLGE members are staff of the council. They are not supposed to be. And that is the reason why we observed recently that NOLGE has collaborated with NLC and TUC to carry out a protest tomorrow being the 24th day of June against the police report that the IG has ordered to stay in the councils to maintain law and order so that there will not be any further death as we experience in Omoma local government.
What is going on in Rivers State, what the Rivers State House of Assembly did, has been done in Zamfara without anybody throwing any stone, because that is the way to go. In the event that the government is not able to provide the enabling environment for elections to hold, the Assembly extended the tenure of the local government chairman in Zamfara for 6 months. And our sister state here, Akwa Ibom, has also done the same thing. What we have here is a situation where the governor is inept, inexperienced, and is now open to all kinds of advice, including from people who want to benefit from the system.
Well, with Rivers State, it appears the issue over this local government administration is far from over. We are awaiting the verdict of the Court of Appeal. There's a consolidated appeal that borders on whether or not the amendment was right or wrong, the status of the lawmakers that are in contention, whether or not they're in PDP or APC, all of that. The appeal is being reserved for judgment at a later date that will be communicated to parties so that all of this will be sorted out, which is why everybody is literally grandstanding and taking a posture. But they have talked about the fact that Labour is taking sides in all of this, the Labour in the state, that's the TUC and the NLC. Perhaps the Labour heard them and has suspended its planned protest over the continued barricade of by the police at the secretariats of the local government areas. The Labour had said, look, we understand the job of the police to do their work in ensuring there's peace and order, but you're denying workers the opportunity to do their work. And they said they will mobilize for a protest tomorrow. But they've now called off that protest at a joint press conference that held today. Let's take a listen to them.
Rivers State Organized Labor has not directed anyone or group of persons to embark on any form of strike action or demonstration following the lockout of our members at the various local government areas in Rivers State by the Nigerian police. Impacted affiliate unions were advised, especially the Nigerian of Local Government Employees (NOGE), is hereby directed to remain on standby until further notice for likely lawful industrial action by the organized labor. We call on the Nigerian police to be vigilant, to arrest and prosecute any miscreant found to be breaching the unfettered peace of Rivers State. We support the ongoing giant strides of His Excellency, Sasmina Fubrajes RS, to promote a peaceful and prosperous Rivers State.
It is very important for us to inform Nigerians and all Rivers people that organized labor is non-partisan, we are political to the extent that our fundamental human right is not violated by any politician or anybody. In this instance, our ask is that the Inspector General of Police should demobilize his men and open up the locked local government offices to enable our workers who work in the various local governments to go to work. Because we see the action that police has taken as violation of our fundamental human right, where our members are no more allowed.
Your guess as good as mine. A lot to look out for in the coming week. The pro-Fubara, pro-Wike, Labour, police. It's just two pieces of legislation in contention and the status of lawmakers in contention. That, as I said, will be brought to rest, hopefully, by the Court of Appeal if it doesn't go all the way to the Supreme Court. But that's not our first focus today on the program. Our basic focus today on the program is a law. It's called the Corporate Social Responsibility Bill 2023 that, if passed, the issue of corporate social responsibility by companies at a certain level, especially medium-sized companies, will no longer be just out of goodwill, perhaps. It will be mandatory under the law because there is no law guiding that operation according to what the proponents of this law are saying. Now, let me, just before I introduce my guest, let me show you something about some part of that legislation. I had a piece of the bill, the draft bill of this particular legislation that has to do with what is expected of each company and the size of the company. But first, maybe let me introduce my guest, Professor Obiageli Orogbo. She's the Chair, House Committee on Corporate Social Responsibility and member representing Oka North and Oka South Federal Constituency. Madam, thank you so much, Prof, for coming on the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, I wanted to start with some piece of that legislation, but maybe if my producer can get it to me if I throw in my first question. I know that your legislation has to do with corporate social responsibility, ensuring that companies are now mandated to carry out corporate social responsibility in a very accountable manner. That is my understanding. But my interest, so that the audience will understand some kind of a brief of what this is all about. Section 5, subsection 1A of the draft that we have seen says that every company having net worth of 500 million naira or more, or turnover of 500 million naira or more, or a net profit of 100 million naira or more during any financial year shall constitute a corporate social responsibility committee consisting of at least 3 or more directors, out of which at least 1 director shall be an independent director. As soon as my producer can get me those slides out so that the audience will see what I'm reading. But again, I just need them to have an idea of what you're doing. But my first question to you will be, why should an act of goodwill be mandatory? Prof, that question is for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. First of all, we need to understand the concept, the philosophy, and the implementation of CSR. CSR is not a new concept. I can assure you that a lot of companies operating in Nigeria have the CSR units, programs, but why we are looking deep into CSR is because a lot of companies, first of all, the Company Income Tax Act gives the companies the leverage, if I may say it that way, to do a deduction of their expenses from before the income tax is assessed. And most of these companies come up with humongous claims of having provided one form of investment We call it goodwill or the other. These are claims. And at the end of the day, these claims are not true. They are not regulated. They are not monitored. They are not reported. And this is causing so much revenue loss to government and by extension to the nation at large. So there is need for this CSR to be regulated so that companies would not keep claiming. With the number of companies making so much money, turning out so much profit yearly from this country, we shouldn't be talking about infrastructural issues, infrastructural development. If these companies in their various constituencies and their various places where they operate are actually giving back to the society, are actually taking into cognizance the impact of their operations in their society and coming up with roads, water, infrastructures, investing in education, health sector, I think our country will be a better place today. But because secretly, this is something that's been happening in this nation, but nobody knows about it. And then the Speaker of the House of Reps, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, decided to to bring up a committee that will look into the activities of these companies so that we will close up those ends where the country, the nation, the government is losing revenue. And then we will be able to bring up a lot of things because government cannot do it all. Government cannot provide everything. And with the state of our nation, we need all hands to be on deck to build a better Nigeria. So that is why it's essential.
All right, Prof, when you say government is losing revenue, I'm trying to understand what you mean by government is really losing revenue. And this is what I mean. Before you came up with this bill and the people that sponsored this bill, did you do an estimate in terms of losses? And when you say government is losing revenue, if the companies are paying taxes and levies and all of that, which are statutory, how are you losing revenue as government? Maybe an education for the people.
I said, remember I said that there's a company income tax, the Company Income Tax Act has a provision for expenses incurred in CSR, these donations, whether you call it donations, whether you call it the goodwill, whether you call it infrastructural development, whatever the companies are doing in their own ways in Nigeria, they claim it. So at the end of the time, the tax they pay to government is not actually what they're supposed to pay, and they end up still not providing those infrastructures. So if you're supposed to maybe provide basic amenities of worth maybe 100 million, and you claim you provided 100 million in your audited account, but what you actually did is 10 million. That means that that company will not pay, there's a deduction in the tax. So that deduction, which is done, this is claimed, makes it a loss to government.
Okay.
So if they're supposed to do, like over the period, we have been able to engage a whole lot of companies over the period in the last, say, 7 months. And you see that many of them, claim in their annual audited accounts that they've provided this and this and this. And at the end of the day, when you go there to oversight those projects they claim they provided, which is the consideration for the tax rebate, they are not provided. Some provide, some don't even provide, some provide inadequate, and it's not commensurate. It's not what actually they claim in their audited accounts. So that is what I mean when I say that government is losing revenue.
Which is why I also added the bits. I needed you to expatiate on it, which is why I added the bit of the losses in your estimation. Because when you're doing things like this, we need to see a study so that we can know whether we should raise alarm or we should keep quiet. Do you have an idea of how much losses we've incurred?
In this country, we have a lot of multinational companies operating in this country from different parts of the world operating in this country. government is losing in millions of dollars revenue. Some of them are operating secretly. I won't mention, for today's purpose, I won't mention them because we have been able to, invite them. Some even run away from, engaging the parliament. So what government is losing is in millions of dollars. The purpose of this is actually to let the public know that there is a public hearing that is coming up next tomorrow at the National Assembly by the Corporate Social Responsibility to consider the bill. It's a public hearing. We want all the critical stakeholders, the business stakeholders in the business, the civil society organizations, the community representatives, and every concerned citizen to make themselves available. At that hearing, we will be looking at the critical issues with CSR. And then the parliament does not know it all. The parliament does not know it all. The parliament is open for constructive, robust engagement, robust debate on issues that concerns Nigeria. This parliament, the 10th Assembly, is a people-oriented parliament. And that's why we have
if I may button, so that
the parliamentary...
My apologies. So if I may button, so I can get as many questions as possible. So at what stage is this bill in the House of Representatives before I break it down for the people?
After, the bill has gone through the first reading.
Okay, first reading.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I hope you can hear me, though. So before I ask my next question, let's get back to the slides. Let's see what the proposal you're making. Section 5.1, you propose and gave a figure of the size of companies that we're looking at in this context. For non-extractive companies, you have to explain all of that for the people. Non-extractive companies, if my producer can get me that first slide, 5A of the act, of the bill. Yes, this one, that every company having the net worth of 500 million naira or more, or a turnover of 500 million naira or more, net profit of all of that and all of that during a financial year shall constitute a social responsibility committee consisting of at least 3 directors, out of which at least 1 director shall be independent. Guys, if you can go back so we can get this straight. Now, the board of every company referred to in subsection 1B shall ensure the company spends in every financial year at least 2% of the average net profit of the company during the 3 immediately preceding financial year in pursuance to this policy, and all of that, many things. But the third one is what I'm concerned about. Section 5B, 5.3b says, provided that the company shall give preference to local areas around where it operates for spending the amount earmarked for corporate social responsibility activities. So these are some of the highlights of that bill. But there's another part that has to do with extractive industry. So maybe you break it down for us. Let's begin to get into the bill. What you mean by extractive and non-extractive? What size of company? Who is exempted and all of that? Before I ask my next question. Prof, that's for you.
Okay, so the bill already has clearly stipulated the categories of, you may wish to play it back again for the viewers to see. The bill already has explained clearly categories for 500 million and above of net profit, and that of the 200 million naira and above. You know what the extractive industry means, and then the non-extractive industries, like we have the manufacturing industries, the pharmaceutical, and what they call them again, the banking industries, the financial industries, the whole lot of companies operating in the country. So for those who are not in the extractive, we have the petroleum industry, we have the mining industries, for those, the extractive. So that is what we mean by that.
So my interest, why I decided to read that piece of legislation that you propose, is the percentage you're talking about. For the ones that are the extractive industry, you say in the financial year, there's at least 5% of their average net profit we also know that, excuse me, the PIA proposes 3% for host communities. So if you put it together, we're talking about 8% if in the financial year. Wouldn't you think that that will be perceived as hostile to corporates at the end of the day in terms of business environment and levies and taxes and payments they have to make?
The bill, the document you're looking at, which we're discussing, is a proposal. The document is a proposal. That is why we have a public hearing. We have sent out invitations to companies. We have sent out invitations, written all the companies, the banking, all sectors of the economy. We have sent out letters. We have published in the papers that there's a public hearing to consider this bill. The bill is a proposal. So it is the responsibility of the stakeholders in these sectors to make themselves available on Tuesday for a very robust, comprehensive deliberation, debate on the bill. And then it's not a final position. When they come, we discuss. We are people-oriented. We want our industries to survive. We want our companies to perform well. We want them to stay and perform optimally and also give back to the society, to the people where they are, where they operate. So it is not my responsibility. It's a bill, it's a proposal. It is still in its skeleton. It's a skeletal bill, So it is their own duty to make themselves available on Tuesday for a robust conversation, a robust debate, so that we will not do our pluses and our minuses and then take a final position together as one nation, as Nigerians, as stakeholders, as critical stakeholders. We take this decision concerning this piece of legislation. It's a proposed piece of legislation. By the time we all have this debate on Tuesday, we'll now come up with a position paper. So it's not a final paper.
Absolutely, that's why it's called a bill, and that's why we're engaging you, who is at the vanguard. You're the chairman of the committee, to bring to the fore the expanded conversation on national or international television. So, company are already struggling with high interest rate to borrow money. They have all kinds of levy. The current administration is doing all it can to harmonize taxes, and all of these elements are affecting, the outlook and perception of the business environment, which must be in the conversation, which is why I'm asking some of these questions. And I also understand that even the media is going to be involved in all of this as long as your income is at a certain level. So from your conversation within the House, how many, from the first reading, how much support have you gotten, and what are the dissenting voices saying?
Like I told you, this is a proposal. We don't have a dissenting voice yet. By Tuesday, we'll see if we have a dissenting voice. We're all looking at building a nation that we'll all be proud of. CSR is not a new concept. It's not anything new. It's a global practice, and we want to give it an international status. It is a global practice that all we need to do in Nigeria is to just come up with a framework that will monitor, that will regularize, that will report, and then see to the enforcement. Like I told you, we are very much aware of the difficulties. We understand the challenges the companies are going through. We are going to be extremely creative in the decisions that we're going to make. That is why it is not the parliamentary decision. It's not our decision. It is the decision of the public, the stakeholders, the petroleum industry, the extractive industry, the manufacturing industry, the banking industry, all the industries that contribute to the development of our economy. Like I said earlier on, we cannot leave this to government alone to do. At the end of the day, they are borrowing the taxes, the fluctuations in the exchange rate. But at the end of the day, these companies are still making profits. I'm privy to the profits these companies are making, even in the midst of the crisis, the economic crisis we're going through in the country. But we are not going to stifle and strangulate the company. No, that's not what we're going to do. We are human too. And that is why we need them to be present on Tuesday, to participate vigorously in the discourse, in the debate in National Assembly on this matter. This is a very critical, very, very critical bill that will impact those companies and also the nation, our citizens. Like I said earlier, we're people-oriented. We want to support the companies.
Prof, if I may, but we're going on a quick break.
It's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, we'll go on a quick break. When we come back, I'll just take a few more minutes to conclude this conversation, because we're also going to talk about incentive to support these companies rather than always, in their view, taken from them, and also the penalties that may be meted out on them if they default on this mandatory CSR policy. We'll be right back after this break. Join us again.
And cable. Great quality. Now with the new look.
National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILT, is organizing a roundtable dialogue on operationalizing the quest for state police system in Nigeria, prospects and challenges aimed at critically examining the current challenges facing the Nigerian police system and the need for decentralization through the establishment of state police forces. Expected participants include policymakers, legislators, security experts, members of the academia, civil society organizations, law enforcement agencies, and other relevant stakeholders. Date 26th June 2024. Venue NILT Campus, number 2 Abubakar O. Suleiman Avenue, Umaru Musa Adua Expressway, Airport Road, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. prompt. Chief Convener Professor Abubakar O. Suleiman, Director General, NILT. Announcer.
It is new, it is unique and of international standard. Maduka University. Maduka University, a modern university of international standard with modern facilities for learning, committed to training entrepreneurs across different fields of human endeavor, offers admission to students in different courses such as law, accounting, medical lab science,
cybersecurity, mechatronics,
mass communication, nursing, pharmacy, ICT, computer engineering, civil engineering, JUBE program, and a lot more. Maduka University is located in an environment of serenity, safety, and security at Ekwebe Nsukka, Enugu State. For more inquiry, visit our website madukauniversity.edu.ng or call 0805-509-1802 or 0915-789-3107. Maduka University, the place for the transformation you seek.
Welcome back. I've been talking with Professor Biagele Orogbo, the chairperson, House Committee on Corporate Social Responsibility, and member representing Awka North South Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. Prof, thank you so much for coming on the program. So as we begin to wind down, let's come in with a few more things we would like to find out from you. In terms of capacity to be able to monitor compliance, how do you want to achieve that? Because I understand that in the proposal you're making, a company that has that size, 500 million naira, whether it's net worth or profit and all of that, will have, that's for the non-extractive, will have a committee to monitor implementation. But at from the legislative end, how will it be properly monitored to make sure that companies apply to this? And how will this benefit the average citizen of Nigeria, which is the core of all of this?
Okay, so for the compliance, monitoring compliance, the committee, we have several committees in the National Assembly, in the House of Reps, that monitors compliance of all several agencies, companies, and so be it. And then for compliance, the first thing we want to do is to legalize the CSR initiative. First of all, legalize it. And then for compliance, we have I think if you look very well at the bill, look detailedly, you will see that the bill is also proposing the establishment of a CSR commission. So the committee, with the support of the CSR commission, if established, or even a unit, a department in the Corporate Affairs Commission, will all work together seriously to see that there's compliance. And that is why there's actually a need for punishment. Any law that you want to enforce that doesn't have a punishment will not be obeyed. And of course, you trust that Nigerians, we find it difficult. It's only those who are quite civil, who know what they're doing, that actually go out of their way to obey laws. But the important thing is that we seek to ensure that we build a better Nigeria, where the common citizens will have access to good roads. If all the companies in Nigeria think back, give back, build roads in their localities where they operate, provide schools, build schools, healthcare system, I think Nigerians, the populace, that we will they will be relieved from the difficulties that they're already going through. I think the Nigerians should be given, giving space to breathe. They should breathe. Nigerians should breathe. People are going through a lot. Let them only think of the tomatoes they will have to buy. Let them only think of the food they have to. Now it looks like food is luxury. Look at how much a bag of rice is today. How many people can afford it with the current salary scale that we have? How many people can buy it? How many people can actually feed their families? So with this initiative, with this bill, if it's passed into law, it will support government initiative. It will support government plans to build roads, so that all they're thinking is about what they will eat. They won't have to think about hospitals.
Prof, if you can hear me, if I'm
coming with hospitals. Yes.
Yeah, we're totally out of time. I must thank you so much. But some persons will always say that the National Assembly itself has to look inwards. It's a great idea to make sure that everybody lives up to responsibility. But even that hand is also pointed in the direction of you and your colleagues in terms of cutting cost of governance, in terms of, what do you call it now, the projects you do, constituency projects that some lawmakers don't carry out, even though it's earmarked for. Some do, some don't, that is being reported and all of that. So people will be looking in that direction. So some people will say the House itself and the NAS generally may have to look inward to do and lead by example. Does that make sense to you as well?
I disagree with you completely that we don't execute our projects. I disagree.
I said some. I did not say all of you.
I disagree totally to that, because most of the people who are in National Assembly want to come back again. And everybody's looking for, because as far as Nigerians are concerned, you were now expected to do executive jobs. Okay? I disagree that they don't execute their jobs. It's not true. I'm yet to see a member of House of Reps that will be given a job, and what would he be doing if he doesn't execute the job?
All right, Prof,
it's your responsibility to hold your leaders accountable. It's our responsibility to hold our leaders accountable.
Prof. Obiageli, that's why we elected you in the House and the Senate, to hold them accountable. That's your job. Checks and balance. It's not our job. It's your job. They've elected you. I didn't say all of you, I said some of you. So let's be clear on that. So if you go to budget and all of that, you see what I'm talking about, where they identified it. So if you say hold accountable, you are the first we should point to, not us. But I must thank you for coming on the program, Professor Obiageli Orogbo. Chair House Committee on Corporate Social Responsibility, and we'll be looking out for that hearing and see how it plays out eventually. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we'll go on a quick, not break. I think we've gone on our break, but let's switch gears now. I almost went on a break that was not available. So we've been following development in Rivers State, and it's almost like a daily talking point. Today, there were a couple of meetings. Some we played out for you just moments ago, as far as this issue is concerned about the piece of legislation that has been causing contention between the members of the former chairman of the local government areas in the 23 local government areas versus the Rivers State government, which has now set up a caretaker committee. The chairman are now saying some things like some of the committee members that are members of the caretaker committee are still serving as civil servants. Why are they in the committee? They are also talking about the dissolution of some committees that take responsibility for collecting levies and all of that. We're going to explore all of this conversation with the former chairman of Eleme local government area, Mr. Obarilomate Olo. He joins us via Zoom. Mr. Olo, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good evening.
I think I'm just thinking to myself, what is this latest round of contention really all about? Maybe you can walk us through. We saw pressers today, and we understand more pressers are coming in later this evening across board. Maybe you walk us through.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No, come again. I can't hear you.
Just to establish, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I was saying that this latest pressers or press briefing we've gotten in this whole round of contention, what is it really all about?
Okay, we got wind of the information that the organized labor is trying to do a protest against the presence of police at the local government secretariats in Rivers State. You recall that the occupation of the police in the various local governments is as a result of crisis that broke out on Tuesday, and their presence has all helped to stabilize the place, and people are going about their businesses normally. But because the members of Norge have become partisan from our observation, because they were appointed into the illegal caretaker committee set up by the governor a few days back, and they did not resign from they did not resign their appointments, and they are all members of the caretaker committee, meaning that they have delved into politics. So that was going to portend a situation where there will be crisis if there was going to be such a protest, because they were asking that they wanted to go to their offices to work, but we know that that is a ploy for them to gain access to the councils that is being presently occupied by the Nigerian police force, because the police is there to maintain peace in Rivers State. What we are having now is, if the police hadn't been there, we wonder what would have happened to our people and to the lives of people who are going about their normal businesses in Rivers State.
So, as it stands now, I've heard you mention illegal caretaker committee. They are saying your tenure has ended. So it's a battle between, in your words, illegal caretaker committee and tenure elongation, as the governor will call it, and he says he's not going to allow it to happen. Shouldn't we wait for the court to make some of this pronouncement?
Now, what we are doing is exactly what is expected. We respect the rule of law. We are waiting for the court pronouncement, because before the crisis and before the actions of the governor, the House of Assembly had already passed a law to extend the tenure of the present elected local government chairman for a period of 6 months before the issue went to court, and which witnessed a subsequent appeal. And because we are law-abiding people and we respect the rule of law, we have allowed the position of the appellate court to stand, which advises all parties to maintain status quo until the matter before them is finally determined.
All right, Honorable, I understand we're due for a break. When we come back after this break, I want to ask you a few more questions. Join us again.
Sweet day like beans and rice. And the people, I will never leave your side. I will never ever. I dedicate my time, forever, time to you, my people. Even if the road be rough, I know mine. 'Cause together we shall stand.
Make we all come out on election day and vote Olumide Osaigbavo Akpata, Una guy, as governor of Edo State. He ready to change our story and bring better life for we and our Pikin them. Vote Labour Party, the party for Papa, Mama and Pikin. Make we vote well, oh, Oludi, confirm. Now you be our guy. Labour Party, forward ever.
Olumide Akpata. Oh, quality, wires and cables.
And cable. Great quality. Now with the new look.
The Industrial Training Fund, ITF, cordially invites all executives of the enlisted skills training centers to an inaugural meeting for the implementation of the Skill Up Artisans Super Initiative. The skills training centers are critical partners in ensuring the success of Super. This inaugural meeting will provide representatives of the centers with comprehensive details of Super, its implementation framework, and address all pertinent issues regarding the onboarding of aspiring artisans for foundational training. Attendance by all representatives of the training centers is crucial. Date 24th June 2024. Venue NAF Conference Center, Kado, Abuja. Time 12 noon prompt. Super, upskilling Nigeria's artisans for super jobs. Announcer Dr. Hafiz Oluwatoyin Ogun, Director General, Chief Executive.
Welcome back. We're on the last leg of the conversation. We've been talking to Obarilomate Olo, the former chairman of Eleme local government area. He joins us from Port Harcourt, the River State capital, given the things that have played out in the last 1 week. And no doubt it will continue through the week or later part of the week, given the fact that we are still waiting for the appeal that has reserved, Court of Appeal that has reserved judgment over the local government administration issues, as well as the status of 26 lawmakers who defected to the APC. Honorable, beyond the court's decision that we're expecting, apparently everybody is grandstanding when it comes to this issue. Your group is holding on to the amended Act of 2024. number 4 of the Rivers State Local Government Law. The governor is holding on to the 2018 legislation, number 5 of Rivers State Local Government Law. Everybody has a piece of legislation they are using to defend their position and grandstanding. But beyond that, what is it that we can do to begin to coast home to peace in Rivers State, in your view, Honorable?
Well, the only way, as it stands now, the only way to peace is for every party to wait for the position of the courts. When the law speaks, that will determine the direction we will go. For now, in my own view, I think our usual laws and practices are being suspended until the court speaks on this matter.
I know that for politicians, a lot of you are already looking ahead of 2027, which is about 3 years away from now. That's the permutation politicians look at. But let's talk about the now. One of the concerns we're having when we look at what is going on in Rivers State, and we've constantly asked this question so that everybody will have their own say as to how they perceive it and what can be done to really make this about the interest of the people, not the interest of the political class. Because we're seeing this thing taking ethnic tone. 3 people have died in the process. How do we taper down on the rivalry that seemed to be ensuing between riverine and upland and just stay within the objective of this particular disagreement?
I think the whole essence...
Go ahead, please.
I think the whole essence of this crisis is unnecessary. Some people are thinking that the governor may have started too early to think about owning a structure to himself in politics. So it's all about selfish politics. It has nothing to do with the politics of the people. But I think the people are being deceived to believe that this whole exercise is meant for them. But the idea behind it is for personal aggrandizements and to fulfill personal desires to own a structure in politics. And there are some players, even within the governor's cartel, that are building their own ambition into what is going on in the state. Probably maybe known to the governor or unknown to him. And if care is not taken, all these will lead to a serious implosion within them. And also it will in turn affect the lives of the citizens of our state. And given these fights an ethnic coloration does not mean well for those who are from that part of the state, because I don't think that is that is what they would have loved to have. In my conversation with one of my colleagues who is a chairman, he feels disturbed that at this point in time, why are we, if they are seen to be a kind of minority in the state, and they will want to become governors, leaders, maybe to occupy the position of governorship in future. And maybe the more populous ethnic groups in River State, like the Iquiris and all that, they may not have that confidence in them again. You know, that was his concern and his feeling. So if the younger generation begin to feel this way about the position of what is going on, it means that there should be some level of reasoning so that they can begin to withdraw all these sentiments that have been built into this crisis, and gradually it will come to a halt, because it's all about one person's interest and grandstanding and wanting to say, okay, we have control of the structures in the state and prove to whoever that, of course, we all know that the office of the governor is a powerful office, but you don't need to prove to the people that it is that powerful. It is the actions, the necessary actions that you take that will prove to the people that you are powerful. So I think the governor needs better advisors who don't have ambition behind their thoughts, their line of thoughts.
All right, Honorable, just one last question, if you can answer me in 30 seconds, because we're totally out of time. When you say someone's personal interest, what are you referring to here?
Is either the governor or those who are behind him that are plotting their own emergence through him. Those are the questions I'm referring to.
All right. Okay. We must thank you for coming on the program. Honorable Obarilamate Olo, the former chairman of LMA local government area. Thank you so much. And we hope Rivers wins at the end of the day and peace is restored. And so we can begin to have conversations around governance beyond violence and all of this. Thank you so much, Honorable.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzonga of Best Nigeria.
Wow, look at that. Until recently, I had no idea what a pangolin was. Man, this thing is strong. It's a small mammal covered with scales made of keratin, just like our nails. Strong scales, man. The scales has no medicinal value, yet the demand for the scales and the meat is driving the pangolins to extinction. This one's name is Igai, and it was rescued from illegal bushmeat trade. It's going back into the wild where it belongs to keep the ant population in check. Home sweet home. Please say no to illegal bushmeat and report wildlife crime, because poaching steals from us all.
That's it. The regular football season is over.
What?
Yes, it's over.
Oh, no.
But not for us here at Supersport.